So this is basically an introduction to graphic designing. And starting today, I'll tell you what is graphic designing all about and what are the elements of graphic designing. So graphic designing is visual communication and it includes illustration, typography, and photographs. So what you see on posters, logos, infographics, or any other such design, it is actually graphic designing. And companies and any other mode of any other organization uses graphic designing to convey their messages in order to advertise or promote themselves or even for their own logos or any such thing, right? So any design that helps solve a challenge or communicate effectively makes a good design. These have to be universal and easily understood by all. So what makes a good design is actually when your design can be understood by anyone from any part of the world, right? And it includes the overall layout and production design to enhance the interactive experience of customers. Now, these are some examples of what graphic designs are, which includes logos, business cards, social media posts, luggage tags, gift wraps, bed sheets, etc. Coming to the elements of graphic designing, elements of graphic designing basically mean that they are the physical parts or the objects in a design which make up the design, and they are the entire, what you can say, they are the entire thing that a design should have, right? And the first element is line, then shape, texture, size, color and value, and space. I will be telling you in details about each of these design elements in my following webinars. However, right now I'll be briefly introducing you to each of these. So lines. Lines are used to divide different sections of a design or to direct the attention towards a specific part of a design. When we usually write something, we tend to underline the main point, right? And that is because we want to emphasize on that point. Also, when we want to make columns or rows, we make lines so that we can divide the paper into different sections. So this is the entire point of a line, where using these lines, you can understand what is the main area of focus in your design. And lines can vary in thickness, color, continuity, and curvature. So over here, the first line, it is very thick, and the second one, which you are seeing, is a bit thinner. These actually mean a lot when it comes to designing. You might just think that, okay, it's just the variation in width, but when it comes to designing, it can signify different things. Curvature includes what we can call curves or straight lines, and continuity means dotted lines, dash and dots, and continuous lines, right? So the thickness and continuity of lines can mean different things in a design, and I shall be explaining these in my following webinars. Coming to the second element, which is shapes. Shapes are made up of lines in closed forms. So when you're joining around three straight lines, you know that you will form a triangle. And similarly, different shapes are created just by joining different kinds of lines together in a closed way. And shapes are of two types. One is inorganic and one is organic. So the inorganic shapes are rectangles, circles, squares, cones, and basic shapes which we know ever since childhood. Whereas the organic and abstract shapes are the ones which we see around us, be it tables, human beings, animals, or any such thing. And every shape has its own meaning. Whereas you can say that a square or a rectangle would denote strength, stability, power, and a circular or any curved shape would define femininity and fluidity. Coming to the third element, which is texture. A simple design with a solid background can be a bit boring at times. And when you add simply a small bit of texture by changing its opacity to a certain degree, you will see that your design has taken an entirely different look, and it really adds color to that design. So it gives a sense of depth and 3D feel to the object, because when you see something in texture, you know how that texture will feel. And if you can get your audience to connect to that feeling, they will immediately connect to your design as well. So texture is usually in the form of wood, rocks, different kinds of paper or fabric. Now the next element is size. Size matters in design as it creates an hierarchy and emphasis. When you look at these cars below, you know that the main car in focus is the one which is in the middle. This is because, not only because it is in the middle, but also because it is the biggest in size. So in a design, when you want to emphasize on a certain point, it is very important to make sure that it is the biggest in size. The size of an object is in relation to all the other objects around it. That is when you know which one is a smaller object or a bigger object. Make sure to make the most important element of your design larger in size as compared to other elements, so that the immediate attention goes to that main point of the design. The next element is value and color. Value refers to the light and dark tones in any design. It plays an important role in the color scheme of a design. Over here, I have given a rectangular value of the color blue. And you see that at the leftmost side, it is starting from a very dark tone of blue. And towards the end, it goes on to become to a whitish color. So this entire transition of blue to white is what is called its tone, that is its value. To make designs look good, especially a logo design, make sure there is high contrast through the value of a color. This can be done by choosing the darkest and the lightest tones of a color. You can also just select any 3 colors from within this value, and you can make a design based on that, which will create a very good sense of aestheticism and also a very good harmonious look to the design. Coming to space, suppose you're in a room full of people, you know that it often gets very suffocating and you feel that you need that space around you to breathe. Similarly, in a design, when there are too many things in a design, the attention does not go to the main point of focus, and eventually the quality of the design just goes down. You need to have space. You need to have space around the most important part of your design, so that you can give the viewer that ability to breathe, that comfort, and he can immediately look at the main part of the design. So in the first picture, you see that there is an entire crowd and you don't know where to look, where the main focus should be. But in the next picture, you know that the center of attraction is the person who is standing right in the middle and there is enough space around him. That is where you will be looking first. So the white space is known as the negative space, which is actually unoccupied in a design. It is empty. And the positive space is that part of the design which is covered up by elements or by objects of a design. So space helps in guiding the viewer towards the most important object in a design, and it gives aesthetic appeal and also comfortable space to breathe in a design. Now, all these elements combined together, like I said, they form the basic strength, the basic foundation of any graphic design. And the principles to use these elements is something which I will be covering in details again later. This is just a simple introduction to graphic design in order to make you understand what it comprises. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me.